Hello children, today let us read and understand lesson number 5 from your main course book. The name of the lesson is Quality and the writer is John Galsworthy. The characters in the story are the storyteller or the narrator and then Gessler brothers. Can a shoemaker be called an artist? Of course he can be called अगर उसमें वो same skill or pride in his trade. If he has got the same skill and pride in his trade just like in any other artist and has the same respect for it too. Now Mr. Gessler, a German shoemaker who is settled in London, is a perfect artist. So let us read this story to see how he dedicates his life to his art. Now the narrator, he says that he knew him. That means the narrator knew Mr. Gessler from the days of his extreme youth. That means जवानी के दिनों से ही जानते थे क्योंकि he made his father's boots also. Mr. Gessler lived with his elder brother in his shop और ये shop कहाँ था? In a small by street, एक छोटी सी गली में in a fashionable part of London. Now ये shop बाकी दुकानों से बिल्कुल अलग था क्योंकि यहाँ पे कोई बोर्ड नहीं लगा हुआ है, बस गेस्लर ब्रदर्स ऐसा लिखा हुआ है and in the window a few pairs of boots were on display. He made shoes only on order and whatever he made were perfect. Now to make boots, such boots as he made seemed to me then and still seems to be mysterious and wonderful. And the narrator says that the boots made by him were appears to be mysterious and wonderful to him. So he remembers one of his shy remarks that he made while stretching out his youthful foot in front of him, and he had asked, is it awfully hard to make such shoes? And his answer was, he gave out a sudden smile and said that making shoes is an art. Now it was not possible for the narrator to go to him very often. हमेशा जाना होता नहीं था क्योंकि वो boots बहुत लंबे समय तक चलता था. So that means the boots were sturdy. So going into his shop is not like going into most of the shops. बिल्कुल अलग experience था उनकी दुकान में जाने का, because everything is done very slowly but restfully. Okay, आराम से चलता था वहाँ काम. As one enters a church, one gets the feel as if one is entering into a church, and there was a wooden chair, single wooden chair, and a person has to sit there and wait there. And then there would be a guttural sound. Guttural means harsh and grating sound, and the sound of his slippers coming from the wooden stairs. And then he would stand before the narrator, a person who will be without coat, a little bent, in leather apron, with sleeves turned back and blinking. Blinking मतलब आंखों को झपकाना, और देखने से ऐसा लगता as if he woke up from some dream of boots. And then the narrator, he would say, how do you do, Mr. Gessler? कैसे हो? Can you make a pair of Russian leather boots for me? Okay, this the narrator will ask. And then without saying anything, he would go back to the place from where he came or into the other portion of the shop, and the narrator would continue to sit in the wooden chair, inhaling the smell of leather. And then soon he would be back holding in his hand a piece of gold brown leather. So his eyes would be fixed on that piece of leather and he would say, what a beautiful piece. And when the narrator too had admired it, he would speak again that when he wants the boots ready. And then the narrator, he would answer that as soon as you conveniently can. जितना जल्दी आपसे बनता easily you give me. And he would say tomorrow fortnight. और if he were his elder brother, अगर बड़ा भाई होता उनके जगह, he will say, I will ask my brother. And then the narrator would get ready to leave the shop, but at that time also Mr. Gessler would still be looking at the leather in his hand. So this shows the love for his work. And then as the narrator moved to the door, he would hear the sound of his slippers going upstairs to get lost in his dream of boots. So the narrator says he cannot forget that day. मैं वो दिन भूल नहीं पाता हूँ, on which the narrator said to Mr. Gessler that that last pair of boots creaked. जो पिछला वाला जो बूट्स आप बनाए थे उसमें से आवाज़ आ रही थी, यू नो. सो ही लुक्ड एट द नरेटर फॉर अ टाइम विदाउट रिप्लाइंग. बिना कुछ जवाब दिए उनको देखते रहे. एज इफ ही वॉज एक्सपेक्टिंग द नरेटर टू विदड्रॉ, जो अपने कहे गए शब्दों को वापस ले ऐसा देख रहा था. और टू चेंज द स्टेटमेंट, एंड देन ही सेड, ऐसा तो होना नहीं था, इट शुडंट हैव क्रीक्ड. बट द नरेटर सेड, ऐसा तो हुआ है, इट डिड, आई एम अफ्रेड. सो शायद आप वो जूता गीला हो गया होगा. यू गॉट देम वेट बिफोर दे फाउंड देमसेल्व्स. सो नरेटर सेड, नहीं ऐसा तो नहीं हुआ है. एंड देन ही लोवर्ड हिज आइज एज इफ ही इज थिंकिंग अबाउट दोस बूट्स. एंड द नरेटर ही सेइंग दैट ही फेल्ट सॉरी. उनको लगा कि नहीं ऐसा नहीं बोलना था इनके साथ. एंड देन द मिस्टर गेस्लर वुड से, सेंड देम बैक, मेरे पास उस शूज बूट्स को वापस भेज देना, ही विल लुक एट देम. And he would continue slowly saying that some boots they are bad from birth. शुरुआत से ही वो खराब रहते कुछ कुछ बूट्स. अगर वो कुछ कर नहीं पाएंगे उस बूट्स के साथ, then he will deduct that amount from the bill. And then once what happened was, the narrator went absent-mindedly into his shop in a pair of boots bought in an emergency at some large firm. एक बूट्स पहन के गए जो किसी और बड़े दुकान से खरीदे थे. सो वो जूता पहन के, वो बूट्स पहन के मिस्टर गेस्लर की दुकान में जाते हैं. सो दिस टाइम ही टुक द ऑर्डर विदाउट शोइंग हिम एनी लेदर. एंड देन द नरेटर कुड फील कि ये तो मेरे जूते पे ही देखे जा रहे. एंड एट लास्ट ही सेड, दोज आर नॉट माई बूट्स, ये तो मेरे दुकान से ख़रीदा गया नहीं है. और ये उनका टोन, उनका आवाज़ में ना तो गुस्सा था, ना दुख था, ना जेलसी था, पर उसमें कुछ था दैट वॉज क्वाइट फ्राइटनिंग. एंड देन he put his hand down and pressed a finger on the place where the left boot was not quite comfortable. और उस जगह का हाथ रख के पूछते हैं कि यहीं पे आपको ठीक नहीं लग रहा है. and then it hurts you here, यहीं पे आपको दर्द करता है, यहीं से आवाज़ आता है. he said and then he continued saying that these big firms, ये बड़े दुकान वाले, उनमें कोई सेल्फ रेस्पेक्ट नहीं है. and then he spoke long and bitterly, बहुत कुछ बताने लग गए. and that was the first time the narrator heard him telling about the difficulties and problems that he is facing in his trade. And he said that the big firms, they get all the customers, they attract all the customers towards them by advertisement, but not by the quality of the work. They take away all the customers from people like Mr. Gessler. So at present he has no work, and every year his customers are getting lesser and lesser. And looking at his lined face, the narrator could understand the problems that he is facing, or the struggles that he is undergoing. And suddenly the narrator felt that there was a lot of gray hairs in his beard. And then the narrator explained the circumstances under which he purchased those ill-omened boots. That means उस मनहूस जूतों को किस circumstances में खरीदे वो बताता है. But Mr. Gessler's face and voice made such an impression on the narrator that he ordered many pairs, and these new pairs, they lasted longer than ever, and he could not go to him for nearly 2 years. And the next part of the lesson will continue in the next class.